skied high in midfield with Floris Ninunten, one of many internationals on Utah Valley. Here's Bubu Fofana, has a nice little in and out, plays it inside. Can the Pilots score early on again, Ange? Against Sacramento State, it was 3 minutes in, even quicker than that.
Yeah, Nava right there, the man again. He scored actually in the 4th minute against UC Santa Barbara, and it was Fofana in the 1st minute, 17 seconds actually, the other night. So Pilots looking to try to best that again tonight.
Bonilla, 4 assists through 2 games already this season, 2 apiece, and they've been all of the assist, Ange. They haven't been these little cheap ones. He's creating goals. He's trying to do so right here as he gives it into Muslim Umar just inside the box, cleared away partially by Utah Valley. Utah Valley 1 and 2 this season. Here's another look at the Bubu Fofana in and out. Touch slightly let Nava down. As we're in the box again, Babalai, who had a brace last game like Fofana, almost falls back to Babalai, but Landon Carter, the sophomore from Gilbert, Arizona, falls on it and gets to field the ball for the first time today. Hope everyone was enjoying their Labor Day, and they can finish it off with some Pilots and Wolverines soccer. Wolverines 1 and 2 this season, led by MLS legend Kyle Beckerman, RSL legend, most appearances of any MLS outfield player to date. Diego Chara plays a few more years here in Portland. He might have something to say about that. But as a coach, Beckerman is a 17-16-3 record, currently in his 3rd season with the Wolverines. Also has 58 caps to his name with the U.S. men's national team. And you have to think, that's going to be a pro in recruiting when you have somebody like that calling your number.
Well, his experience certainly lends a lot to what he's doing here at this Utah Valley program. He's taken over a program, and already they are starting to build on the success of both the men's and the women's program. They've got a new stadium coming at the end of the season, a nice project that's going to be make this compete with Merlo as among one of the better facilities for college soccer on the West Coast. But, you know, Kyle Beckerman, you know, from his family ties, is an educator. Both of his parents are educators. His brother was a wrestling coach. And so I think it's, you know, in his DNA to, you know, work with players at this level and pass on, you know, everything that he's learned in his vast career to these players and help them excel to the pinnacle or excel to the level at which they aspire to.
Necessary challenge by Kevin Bonilla stops Elijah Gozo in his track. The 2nd start of the season for Gozo. He, like a few other on this Utah Valley side from the Real Salt Lake Academy, from Salt Lake City proper as well. Last year as a freshman had the game-winning goal against Cal Baptist. He's running onto the ball right here. Bonilla gets there first, puts some backspin on the ball, and trying to reach the head of Babalai. Touchdown by Alejandro Silva. Plays it safely backwards. Dobek Petrowski. A German center back, but has played most of his career in Poland, playing through several professional tiers. His most notable club in the country of Poland was Polonia Warszawa, or Polonia Warsaw. Not quite the same amount of internationals as UC Santa Barbara like we saw on Friday, but Kyle Beckerman has certainly integrated his squad well. Bonilla shields off Mikael Signorelli. Gozo pressuring. Bonilla plays it over to Nick Fernandez, who has found himself on the deck many times, not to any fault of his own. He drew probably 3 yellow cards against Santa Barbara, hoping to keep his shorts and shirt a little cleaner today. Jose almost leaves his center back spot to play an auxiliary fullback to mop up out wide as Kunze was caught a little bit further up the pitch. It is going to remain Pilots' ball to the dismay of the Wolverines. Coming off a 1-4 loss in Corvallis to Oregon State. Last year, Oregon State and Utah Valley played a match as well around this time, Ange, and it was the first ever result for Utah Valley against a top 10 team nationally. They drew 0-0 last year. Yippa Over to Fernandez. Calmly to Kunze. Kunze pumps his arms, takes a look inside the box, fires in. Nearly finds Fofana at the back post. It goes back to Bonilla the other way. And if it got through one more, Babalai was there to fire it home. Yeppa plays it back in quickly. Outside of the box now. And fed out wide. Good toe poke away by Jose Olmos. He's our player to watch, and he's had 2 great actions defensively so far. And there's one for Utah Valley, sliding challenge, but it will stay Portland ball.
Getting a look at here at Konsa coming in. Just a great ball, just zips right across. He had 2 opportunities for Portland, for his teammates to get on the end of it, but just couldn't quite make anything of it. Bonilla's ball back through, cleaned up tidily by the Wolverines, and head coach Beckerman's gotta like that, nice and clean out of the back.
Fernandez takes the through and right away opens up the right boot, trying to reach the far corner side netting, cannot. Doesn't trouble landing Carter. Carter's played every second in net this season for the Wolverines. 9 saves, 7 goals against. At a season high 5 saves last game against Oregon State. All WAC freshman team last year. And a grad from Perry High School. Raises his right arm. Clive's Army not as vast today as it was Friday, but still making plenty of noise. They have the instruments to do so. Here's Muslim Umar working on Bellini.
Umar just tries to split between them, but very, very good there from Bellini. And I think it was Fritcher that was next to him. Or doesn't let him split the difference.
Bonilla keeps it low. A 1-2 over to Fofana. If he's onside, he's got to open net. He puts it inside. No flag, and the Pilots have a goal. He can't stop scoring. Buba Fofana, his 3rd goal of the season. He has outdone last year just 2.5 games in.
And we saw Fofana dribble around just a few moments ago and split 2 Wolverine defenders, and here he comes again in service, no surprise, on a dime. And Fofana just so good, just dragging the ball from one side of his body to another on a dime to Babalai. Babalai just lays it into the path of Fofana, and Fofana just a nice little cutback against Carter, gets Carter down to the ground and just is able to roll it into the net from there despite pressure from Utah Valley.
That's a goal about form, where Jacob Babalai has 2 goals last game, Buba Fofana has 2 goals last game, and then you see Jacob Babalai, 2 Buba Fofana goal for the first against Utah Valley. 1-0, 8.5 minutes in.
Well, it's just a goal about teamwork and selfless play. But Babalai, could easily turn and try to find that shot, just cut back and turn and try to find a shot with his left foot to the far post. But Fofana makes a great run and just makes it so easy for Babalai. And again, I can't help but call out Kevin Bonilla with a pinpoint pass, and makes it so easy for Babalai to just redirect that one time. Doesn't even have to do anything with it, just redirect it into the path of the on-running Fofana. And again, Fofana so tidy with his touches, drags it from one side of his body to the other, gets Carter on the ground, and then rolls it in. Not quite 17 seconds in. We're in the 9th or 10th minute there, but still early going for Portland, and we'll want to see them just see if they can keep it up and sustain some pressure here throughout the next several minutes and not recede back into their defensive half.
Elijah Gozo gives it away. No pressure under him. As Bonilla coolly leaves it off to Nava. You talk about Bonilla's passing ability. So many fullbacks will just try to find the open space out wide and whip across, and he keeps his head up. He looks centrally all the time. We saw him create his 2nd assist like that against UC Santa Barbara, where he found Babalai on the inside.
Well, it's what makes him so dangerous as an outside back, and as I said on Friday night, I think his position isn't right back, it's just right sideline, because he knows intuitively when to get to the end line and pick those crosses out. And when he could do just what he did there, which is hold his run up, find Babalai in the center of the penalty area, and set that set that pass up for Fofana.
Utah Valley trying to grab one back. Jose Olmos resorts to patience in defense. He does so well going shoulder to shoulder. Strong sliding challenge. Comes in by Floris Nidutin. Nuneaton from Amsterdam, 6'1". Alacio was an option. Instead, they go back to the center backs. A good run by Bellini. Was momentarily stopped by Nick Fernandez. And then Muslim Umar has to come from his winger role. Thought it was going to be a corner for Utah Valley. Instead, it will be a UP kick. I think Kyle Beckerman's confused by it.
You can already see Kenji Bellini right there, just gets that touch in. A high advanced right back for Utah Valley, probably somewhat similar to Kevin Bonilla. I've been watching him the last several minutes, and while he does play in the back line, the midfield for Utah Valley shifts somewhat to the left to give him a little bit more room on the right to work. So be watching that matchup all night long for what he's going to be doing out there.
Last year, University of Portland scored 51 goals through the season, including the tournament. That was the best number since 1995. So far this year, in under 200 minutes, so 2 full games and about 10 here so far, they scored 8 goals, continuing on the trend from the year prior.
That 1995 team, of course, the last men's team to go to the College Cup. Hugely talented team. So fun to watch. Just looking at our center official, Cedric Adams, have a word with Dobek Petrowski.
Yeah, Dobek Petrowski gave some not so kind body language.
That's Tom Dobek Petrowski. His name's not Dobek Petrowski. This is his last name. It's one of those lovely hyphenates out of Germany.
His first year in college soccer, he started every game. Played 90 minutes against Western Michigan. Yeah, we talked about the Oregon State game being a tough schedule. Also Western Michigan as well. Here's Nick Fernandez. Dances past a couple. Squared back to Fernandez. Skips past 2. Going inside, trying to find Babalai. It was a tough touch to come down with, but it remains Pilot's possession.
I love this from Nick Fernandez, just a bit more active than we have seen him when Portland goes up a goal. Really getting in, trying to control the midfield. This is where Portland hasn't done well after they've scored one, is that they start bypassing their midfield and they lose out on the talents of Fernandez and Nava. So really like seeing him on the ball and getting a little bit more involved in the attack.
Utah Valley trying to create their chances on the counter. Too heavy of a touch, and goes to Jose Olmos all the way back to Miguel Angel Hernandez.
And Jose Olmos' positioning there, so many Portland players caught up in the attack, but his positioning allows him to deal with that long ball and just step in front of Trevor Walk so cleanly and make a ball that looked like it was going to be a problem turn into just an easy back pass back to his goalkeeper.
At least what my eyes make of it, Ange, looks like a pretty structured 4-4-2 in defense for Utah Valley. Can that 4-4-2 do something here? It's going to be tough. Nearly a second and off the line by Utah Valley. Nava on his left boot. Hands it off to Fernandez. Fernandez fires and blocked.
And that was Elijah Gozo coming across the goal mouth to clear that ball off the line. I believe it was Gozo. I'm looking at orange boots or pink boots, but that was tremendous work there for Utah Valley not to go down.
9-10 there in the end. Kunset has time, whips it across. Yipa, he's the least offensive of the 3 midfielders, but keep an eye out for him. Bonilla curls it, keeps it inside the end line. Fofana has a drag back. Working on his defender, can't find Nava as the former Portland Pilot, Ben Ortiz, takes it away. Ortiz, progressive play. It is going to be a foul by Sebastian Hernandez.
beginning to look at Babalai. Just a nice little ball in there, and Umar gets in, plays that across, and yeah, it is Elijah Gozo who's there to clean it up off the goal line right there. He had Fofana hot on his heels, and good job there from the Wolverines.
Landon Carter and Gozo keep it 1-0, 15 minutes in. Ortiz played 35 games in Pilot colors, 2 goals, 3 assists. Really versatile player under Nick Carlin-Voigt as well. When we were calling his games back in 2021, and he was playing the forward line, he's playing midfield, he was a fullback at times as well, a true Swiss Army knife tool for Nick Carlin-Voigt. Looks like today he's playing in that midfield role. And there he is on the pass, trying to reach out wide. Actually falls in the spot he wanted, but Kunze had a good body fake to act like he was going to play it and then let the ball go out into touch.
That's just savvy soccer there from Kunze, just get, looks like he was getting Nainen in there going the other way, and then just lets it fall out of bounds safely.
Julian Kunze looks so comfortable in this back four. Hard to believe this season, actually his first starts in Pilot colors. Nava pulls out wide, so he hit Gozo in the chest hand area. He wanted the handball. It's going to stay, excuse me, no, Utah Valley ball. Gozo's been busy on the near side. Here's him on the throw-in. Aims and fires only as far as Nava, who keeps it in play, and now it will be Pilot ball. Doesn't seem like Utah Valley have much interest in playing out of the back, at least thus far, Ange. And the Pilots with so many black and purple jerseys around, you understand why.
Well, I think that they're set up to. I mean, I think that they've got 3 across that midfield in Olacio, Ortiz, and Silva, and Van Nynenten is the one who's supposed to be playing in through them as that center holding mid, but I think Portland, Fernandez, and Sebastian Nava are doing a really good job as that second line of defense to really close down those passing options and force the Wolverines to play long.
Jacob Babalai, who's got 2 goals and 2 assists in just his 3rd game this season, draws the foul in a advantageous position. He's going to look at it. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, you just see that was Ortiz just coming in late and on the foot of Babalai. This gives Portland a really good opportunity from a very dangerous place.
Julian Kunze hovers over the ball. Not the usual set piece taker, Ange, but they're utilizing his left foot. Headed away. Ortiz chests it down. Kunze there to trouble.
Well, they wanted that little in swinger coming in. That's so much harder. That's a play that shouldn't have happened. But they wanted Kunze in there on the ball for that in swinger instead of Bonilla. Bonilla can hit that bent ball away. So we're looking at Cedric Adams just trying to get the game under control, and it was.
That was Van Nyneten. He had a push on Kunze. Looks like Olacio is going to join in the conversation as well. The experienced center back. Played 2 seasons at the Wushu County Community College over in Kansas. Then last year, his first year with Utah Valley, started all 16 games, 3rd on the team for minutes, 6 clean sheets total. This year, while not playing against Western Michigan, has played exactly 68 minutes in both games. So unlike the Pilots that like to keep that back four all game long, you see some rotation from Utah Valley. Also some of that, Ange, there were games that had gotten maybe out of hand. They were down big to Oregon State, so they were able to do some more rotation.
Well, and anytime, again, you can go to your bench and get some depth, and even in games that you're may not, it's getting to the point where it's unwinnable, getting some players some opportunity to go in and fight and show what they have and show that they can contribute and try to create something different, because you know, the starters aren't getting it done, so maybe the depth off the bench will provide a different look and a different spark and do something.
I'm sure Nick Carlin-Voigt would love to do as much. So many talented players on that bench for UP that just aren't seeing minutes right now, and you get it because of the starting 11.
And Bellini goes down for the Wolverines.
Kenji Bellini.
And again, you see Umar coming in, pretty similar to the play that we saw Ortiz take on Babalai a few minutes ago.
Nava tries to thread the needle to Buba Fofana. If he gets on that ball, has blistering pace, and here he's on the ball right now. Got on it and then tripped up. A poor touch by Tom Dobek-Petrowski. And a little bit more inward than the Julian Konsa chance we saw. And there's going to be a yellow card for Tom Dobek-Petrowski as well. But is this a better set piece chance than the one we just saw?
A bit more direct. I would expect to see Bonilla or Nava on the ball here. As we just watch this play, Ortiz, and it's Fofana right there, and just Dobek-Petrowski knows he's taking a bit of a heavy touch there, and Fofana's about to capitalize on it. He just gets his leg out there. I don't think there's a ton of actual malice, but it is unsporting conduct because he knows he's going by him.
Nava from out 35 away. Two-man wall. Cross toward the near post. Falls near the PK spot. And then Nava takes a touch. The midfielder from Wilmington, California, calms things down. Utah Valley happy to afford the Pilots the ball even within their own territory. And once it gets in the final third, then you start sweating a little. Nick Fernandez drags back one, does Ortiz well, gives it over to Muslim Umar, who is shielded off by Dobek-Petrowski. Two subs getting ready to come in the first of the game.
And Ortiz kind of misses the tackle there on Fernandez, but does enough to slow Fernandez down and upset his rhythm and pace that ultimately ends up turning the ball over anyway. So decent work there from Ortiz.
Ortiz will come out along with Elijah Gozo, and in comes Ethan Kovac and Omar Yeya. Yeya has experience facing Portland to the St. Mary's last season. Before that, 3 seasons at Cal Fullerton. Didn't play last game against Oregon State. Here's Buba Fofana, has 3 white jerseys surrounding him, and eventually loses out to the numbers. Over the top of Bonilla's head. Good chance here for Utah Valley if they play it right. Yeya, the incoming sub. Progressive first touches. He's got the end line, plays it inside, and then a heavy touch does wrong. Mikhail Signorelli not able to put a chance on target.
We just get a look here at Fofana. Just a nice little cut around Dobek-Petrowski, but Dobek-Petrowski does a good job coming back and shielding him off the ball for Utah Valley to go the other way.
What have you seen different about the Pilots today than you saw on Friday?
Well, I think that there's just a little bit more desire to go forward and continue to possess and attack. I think, you know, what we've seen over the last couple of games from Portland is that they score these games and then they more or less concede possession for the remainder of the time and wait for something dangerous for the other team to do, and then they come back, as we saw against UC Santa Barbara. They go tie the game up, and then, you know, Portland scores 2 quick goals to put the game out of reach. So I think, you know, right now you've seen them try to continue to go forward, continue to create, and continue to take more chances and shots. Babalai's
on a great run right now, still has it at his feet, and then cleared by Kovac. Fernandez trying to keep the momentum going. Yeya has to slow his stride. The 2 subs link up. Yeya throws it long. Can't find Bellini. Nava flicks it up once, flicks it past the chest of Kovac, but Kovac catches up to it. Malacio. Van Nieneten. I'm having struggle with the Dutch names. Right though, Ange, after they scored 17 seconds in, I don't believe UP had another shot on target that 45, and we always get the stats at halftime. They had less possession. I don't think that will be the case. Even though Utah Valley have the ball right now, I don't think that will be the case after 45 today.
Yeah, I've seen a lot more push from Portland. And as I said, I've seen Nick Fernandez and Sebastian Nava a little bit more involved than they have been. Portland able to play through the middle, and you've seen those two try to orchestrate and continue some progression forward for the Pilots, where, as you know, again, what we'd seen the prior couple games is that they conceded, we're content to let the other team attack and then just play the ball, these long speculative balls forward to Powder or Fofana or Babalai.
Pilots are trying to get themselves out of a pickle and play it out from the back. Bonilla and Nava were linking up well. Last off of the back heel of Bonilla. No subs yet for Nick Carlin Voigt. Just shy of 15 minutes have gone by.
And it looks like Kevin Bonilla is going to get a yellow card here. Refusing to come over and talk to the referee, but he's going to get a yellow card. What happened was the ball, as it was going out of bounds, Bonilla spun and just backheeled it down the line, and they're going to call that an intentional kicking away of the ball. This Kovac gets ready to throw in. So right there, he just flicks his heel at it, knocks it down the sideline. He was about 3 yards out of bounds at that point, and so that's what they're issuing the caution for.
First sub gearing up for the Portland Pilots. Looks like Samori Powder will be coming in momentarily, not before play resumes. Utah Valley possession.
It'll be interesting to see who Powder comes on for, if it's Umar or if it's Fofana.
Bellini, cross to the back post, got it over the bodies, but no white jersey there. Shot from distance, low. Bellini gets in the way, and then the follow-up is well high. You saying that was deflected, Ange?
Yeah.
That was actually Signorelli on the shot.
Van Nynenton on the shot, but it's Signorelli on the initial ball in. And Nynenton coming from that very deep holding center mid position in front of the center backs.
Like Samori Powder.
Gonna wait on the corner.
Looks like Nick Denley getting ready to come in as well for the first time this season, Ange.
Yeah. It's good to see. Good to see him back.
Low whipping ball inside. Can Buba Fofana catch up to it? Utah Valley keep on. Fernandez extends out the right foot. Able to get the back of his studs on the sphere.
I'm wondering if Carlin Voigt's going to pull out Bonilla and put Denley in there with Bonilla on a yellow card. He does not want him out for their next match against West Virginia, so just probably potentially playing it safe. Maybe we'll see who Denley goes in for.
Long trip to Morgantown next weekend for the Pilots. Next home game will be on Friday, September 15th. First Denver at 7 p.m. Good chase by Yaya. Yaya can't connect with Alejandro Silva, but Fernandez can with Umar, but Umar gets it taken away. Smart ball to find real estate out left. Kunze takes it off his shin pad, is able to keep it in play. Yes, he does. No, he does not.
And this is, again, so much better from Nick Fernandez. When he's on the ball and he's looking to play quickly and he's looking to get the ball up the field, he is so good and so tough to beat. But when he slows the play down and he lets players draw into him, then he's looking to get fouled. He's looking to slow the game down. When he plays quickly, Portland are so much better going forward and are so hard to defend when he's like that.
It's like Fernandez understands better than anybody. If he's under pressure, there's space somewhere. They can't have more men than we do. There's space somewhere, and he seems to always find it. Trickles over to Yaya. Kovac. Utah Valley still looking for the first shot on target. Have had shots. Yaya by Umar and puts it out for a corner.
And ball possession right now from Utah Valley, when they win it and they're in their final third, it's very sharp. They're moving the ball quickly. They're looking to try to find some seams between Portland's outside backs and center backs and between those mids and forwards, but just can't find those players making that run into that pocket in front of the back line.
Crossfire towards the back post, flying Wolverine bodies towards it. Fofana is going to have a tough stretch here. Muslim Umar takes it instead, trying to give it back to Fofana. Fofana showing his pace and gets clubbed from behind. That should be a yellow card.
we'll see. Our center referee's looking over at the linesman to see what he saw. And I believe
Trevor
that was walk on that. Just gets...
Grazes the shoulder.
Yeah, you see him get up and put his hand on briefly, ever so briefly, on Fofana's shoulder, and Fofana goes down.
It's like you're riding fast on a bike, you hit a pebble and you go over. It just took any touch with how fast Fofana was going to him to go to ground. "30 minutes have concluded. No subs yet for University of Portland Pilots. 2 for the Wolverines. We're trying to reach 500 on the season after losing their last 2 to Western Michigan and Oregon State, 2 top competitors.
Western Michigan, of course, lost to Portland last season in the second round of the playoffs.
It was Sweet 16.
Sweet 16.
UP beat UC Riverside, then Oregon State, then Western Michigan to eventually make the Elite Eight. They did lose to Pittsburgh in the end on the road. But that was a great game against Western Michigan. Ange Delence Pierre truly left his Pilots legacy with a game-winning 1-0 goal. Remember doing the research for that game. Western Michigan was statistically, you know, maybe their conference wasn't up to snuff with some others, but they were the best defense in the country. They gave up about 0.5 goals per game.
Yeah, Western Michigan, again, another top team this year. Just reloading like a lot of the top teams do, but it's a remarkable place, Kalamazoo. Able to recruit there, similar to some of these other small college towns, Corvallis, and just a great place to go have a great college soccer career. It's terrific work from Olacio there. Disrupt Bonilla's progress forward.
So now we will see if Bonilla is the one to come out or if it's Conce.
Conce.
Denley played and started 20 games last year, Ange. So it's nice to see him pick up his first minutes of 2023. And it will be 2 substitutions, both on the left side. Denley coming in for the left back, Conce, and Samori Powder coming in for the left wing, Muslim Umar.
Denley played some very key parts of some very critical moments for Portland last year, scoring a couple of really clutch goals and really providing so much just heart and grit when he was on the field for Portland.
Played so well, earned himself a full scholarship. Can't get much better than that. Sebastian Hernandez. Jose Olmos back to Hernandez. Fofana. One thing we've been seeing is these midfielders pulling out wide to create overloads on the near and far side. We've seen Fernandez play right wing at times. We've seen Nava coming to the near side. Good movement by Nick Cronenvoigt's midfielders.
Well, we didn't see there, just off camera to the right, is just a huge hole in the middle of the park made by the Wolverines defense with nobody in the middle. Now Nick Fernandez just coming through that middle part of that hole. But yeah, we're looking for Portland just to try to switch the play quickly. When they get those overloads, the idea is to then switch, find your central point man to just switch the ball out to the other side while you've got all the players' attention on one side of the field.
Uda Miyuta coming onto the pitch. Uda Miyuta from Japan, played at Snow College in Utah. At least according to his resume, he's going to be pretty good technically. He was a reserve for the Japanese national futsal team.
I believe it's Babalai getting chopped down, or nope. Fernandez chopped down.
Usually one of the two. And this one will be perhaps the best set piece chance of the game. Just over 20 out.
The last one we saw Nava take just a bit too far for a good shot from Nava, so he curls it into the back post, back corner of the goal box. But this one, I'm expecting probably going to be a direct shot on target from Nava, and he can just bury these ones.
We talked about the big moments from Nick Denley last year. One of them was off a free kick in the opener. Nava, a strong right foot, a wall of 3, and Carter standing in his way. Nava winds up, finds the bar, and out.
Should be a corner. It's a terrific save from Carter. Well read. As I said, Nava's just going to curl it over that wall and ping it in. He just was going right under the crossbar, but Landon Carter, the sophomore from Gilbert, Arizona, just gets behind the wall, gets a hand to it, and sends it up over. Terrific angle there from our broadcast crew.
Babalai was calling for a deflection, almost looked like he was clapping it. At the back post, nearly trickles in, back inside by Fernandez, and there is Fofana, and it finds the net, Samori Powder. Powder out of nowhere. There were so many chances. That might be his first touch of the game as well. It was ping-ponging around the 18, found the foot of Powder, and a tough finish there, Ange. It was about waist height. Had to be acrobatic with his right boot.
Samori Powder gets his second goal of the season for Portland here. Just in his first minutes, he'd been running around doing a pretty good job of just pressure and getting himself involved right away. And right here off the corner, makes the most of a chance. That ball goes down and around. Just deflects off the Wolverines player, but look at how well Samori Powder gets his right foot up over the ball. It's probably about chest height, and he whips it down. See if we can get it right there. Can't quite get it. Man, Buba Fofana in the way of a beautiful shot.
Yaya was almost kind of screening his own keeper, Landon Carter, as well.
That ball's bouncing up, and that is so difficult. The technical ability of Samori Powder to realize that his shot is only, his chance is only going to get one touch. He does not have time to chest it down or otherwise get the ball down, so he backs himself up out of the way, reads the bounce every step of the way, gets his foot over the ball, and hammers it into the far post.
First unassisted goal of the season for the Pilots.
That is insane technical ability from Samori Powder on that finish.
Initially a really good block off the line because Fernandez reached it at the back post.
Yeah,
had a high chance. Yaya cleared it off with his chest.
Yeah, I couldn't see who it was, chest or hip. I just knew that it came off a really good chance and it just deflected out. Really difficult, those kind of slow bouncing balls to deal with.
Here's the goal scorer, man of the moment, Powder. Has some jostling, falls to Nava. No foul, so no advantage, but Pilots still have the ball. Bonilla, Nava play a 1-2 like they've done thousands of times. Bonilla back post, a little high for Babalai, a little low for Powder. And out.
Yep, and that's Kenji Bellini. Great job from him coming there and just disrupting any kind of rhythm that Powder was just going to try to get in there. But what a ball again. Kevin Bonilla. But Bellini just is right in front of Powder. Great defending from him, just making sure that he cannot do anything to get around and get that ball.
Nava goes high in the sky this time. Sent back the other way by Yeppa. Falls almost for Fernandez. Fernandez still fighting. Was he clipped from behind? Nothing. Nick Carlin Voigt throws his arms up. The most emotional he's been so far this game.
Really wanted a yellow card a few minutes ago on that breakaway from Fofana, where I think it was Trevor Walk who just got him on the shoulder. Carlin Voigt was up in the fourth official's ear about that one, but he's definitely going to be hearing about it right here.
Probably the most unthankful job in sports, being the fourth official in soccer. You have to take all of the heat for decisions you don't make.
Exactly, and what he is the fourth official. I can't tell if they're mic'd up tonight. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. I don't see them wearing their earpieces, so typically sometimes they're mic'd up so they can actually relay what the center official's seeing. But here's Fernandez, excuse me.
It looks like he got stepped a little bit on that back of the right
I don't think there's anything in it. I think that there's just he could sense the pressure on him. Any kind of movement that he could do something with, he was going to do it.
Pilots staying on their 2-0 lead, do not get a penalty. Nava body feints back towards his defense. Gives it to Hernandez. Fernandez clipped over the top. I think he was aiming for Babalai, but the speed of Fofana nearly gets there.
Just a lovely ball there from Fernandez. Recovers nicely from when he went down earlier, and just a great ball from Fofana. And I think what he's looking for was Fofana to do exactly what he did, which is switch that run across and have Babalai potentially go across the middle while Fofana was going out for that one.
Diego Rosas will enter the game. Talented freshman forward. Babalai will exit. He had the assist for the first goal.
Interesting, our player to watch for Utah Valley, Owen Connect, has been playing around about an hour for the Wolverines in each of the last couple of matches, but hasn't really seen him get up the bench. So Kyle Beckerman, head coach Kyle Beckerman, seeing some other opportunities here for his players.
It will be interesting to see who the central striker is right now, because when you do research on Rosas, when you see what he did with Houston Dynamo 2 and MLS Next Pro, kind of listed as a skilled and tricky quick winger. We shall see if maybe Fofana drifts inside or Powder takes up that striker role.
I think you're going to see Rosas is a very similar player, I think, probably to Ray Ortiz, Portland player from several years ago, hugely talented player from several years ago, but have just the versatility that Ortiz does.
Nava puts it in, and there's going to be Oliver Yippa with the goal. His first as a Portland Pilot in his second season. Congratulations to Oliver Yippa. He skies high, gets on the end of Nava's ball. And Nava now back-to-back games with an assist as well.
Nava has just been dropping the ball so well on these free kicks and just hitting it so pinpoint. Unlucky not to have a goal, not necessarily unlucky, but terrific work from Landon Carter to keep him out. But right here, Nava makes no mistake, puts it right on Yippa's head, and Yippa just gets up over Dobek Petrowski. Dobek Petrowski can't do anything. Van Nynenten was right in front of him, and Yippa gets up in between them and hammers it into the net. And Portland, 3 goals in the first half, and this is the kind of performance that you expect out of them when they're playing Sac State. The Gauchos were a tough team, but scored early on and they kept going, and this is what the Portland Pilots are capable of, and this is what anybody who's going to be a number 6 team or a top 5 team in the country, this is what you expect out of them.
Goal comes in the 38th minute, first in his career for Oliver Yippa. He's the most trusted freshman under Nick Carlin-Voigt last year. Looking to cement that starting role this year. Goals like that and his defensive ability will keep him in the 11. Efatobo Aurora getting ready to check in for the Pilots for the final 7 or 6 minutes. Utah Valley hand the lifeline. Can they create something off this set piece chance? It looked like they were flirting with playing it quickly. Instead, they will take their time and create a chance.
And this is a Utah Valley team that has a lot of people capable of putting the ball in the back of the net. I was looking through when I was getting ready for this game, and they do have right now 6 different goal scorers through 2 games. So Portland, the challenge here now for them is they're up 3-0. Can they keep it going? Can they truly put this game out of reach while maintaining a shutout? That is going to be...
Silva puts it towards the back post. Angel Martinez looks like he got tripped up by the near post. Eventually keeps it out. But you're right, Ange. Alejandro Silva, who's on that ball, had the lone goal in the 3-1 loss to Western Michigan last season. He was with St. Francis in Brooklyn, New York, had 5 goals in 16 games. Alacio, the defender, comes up well. And there is almost a chance going to the back post. Opened up the foot, but maybe too much around Alejandro Silva. Couldn't wrap his toes around it and reach the far net. Instead, he goes out for a throw-in. Really tough angle.
Well, and this is what I was just talking about with Portland. Yippa gets this ball from Hernandez and plays kind of just a little bit of a slow ball, not as much pace or direction on it as he needed to, and it's picked off easily by Alacio, and Silva, very, very dangerous chance, if not for the angle. Alacio, nice job taking his player inside, and what a run from Silva.
So here's a switch. It looks like, so Nicholas Dunbar comes in for Kevin Bonilla, and just looking at the positioning before the throw-in is taken, Samori Powder goes from left wing to right back, Ange. And then Nicholas Dunbar, who just checked in, the freshman from Long Beach, California, will go to left wing. So only 5 minutes, but a different look for the Pilots.
Well, I'm trying to think if we saw against Sac State, Powder. I think Powder went to left back or went to the back once, and again, he provides a lot of coverage on that side, so he can somebody who can get up and down the sideline pretty quickly. You're not really going to beat him often in a foot race.
Usually in my charts, I won't put clean sheets down for forwards, but maybe I will. Maybe for Samori Powder, the former Detroit Mercy man who spent 3 seasons in Michigan. Played 38 games there, 10 goals, 7 assists, off to a hot start in his Pilots career with 2 goals through 3 games, up around the 200-minute mark as well. We will see one more sub before half. At least that's what Timothy Ihnen and Nick Cronenvoid hope. Ihnen was only a late sub against Sacramento State and University of California, Santa Barbara.
And that's Alex Fritcher earning the caution there. A lot of discussion around what was happening there between some Utah Valley players and our center official, Cedric Adams, but ultimately in the end, Fritcher comes away with the booking.
.3-0 Pilots up, exactly 5 minutes to go. Countdown will start once the ball comes into play. Or will it? Pilots will try that one again as Nick Denley takes a touch. Utah Valley trying to create something before the half, and a roar will stop it. Stop it, not cleanly, but no yellow, given ultimately in a set piece chance from about 40, 35. It's going to be Alejandro Silva standing over it again. Most white jerseys, far central side of the box.
Look for him to clip this one in. I don't know that he'll shoot here. He's just going to try to bend something away from Hernandez.
Nick Fernandez gets it. Nava had Rosas streaking to his right instead, finds all the open bodies out left. Dunbar overlaps with Denley, and that's who's going to receive it. Here's Dunbar. Slows things down to Fernandez. 4 to go in the half. Pilots up 3-0. Goals coming from Samori Powder, Bubo Fofana, and Oliver Yippa. Other than the goal scorers, and Chu on the Pilots has impressed you through 45.
Well, I think I've really enjoyed the performance, obviously, from Jose Olmos, our player to watch. But again, Nick Fernandez has had such a good night tonight because he's been on the ball, he's been active, he's been playing clean and simple 1- and 2-touch soccer. He's looking to keep the game going and flowing, and it's not slowing down when the ball hits his foot. When that happens, sometimes you see him get fouled, the game slows down, it becomes very free kick heavy. But you can see what happens when he's involved. He plays simply, he plays quickly. The Pilots have a 3-0 lead going into the second half.
There's so many twists and turns in the season, but it feels this season will go, or games I should say will go, how Nava and Fernandez. They're really the quarterbacks of this side.
Well, him and again, I think Kevin Bonilla is also,
yeah.
He's the one when you're winning the ball out of the back, he's coming up the sideline. He is looking for one of those two players or Babalai to play into before he gets to the end line for a cross. But yeah, I think, those two, Fernandez is going to be so critical, just being one of the very first people to defend that ball coming out of the opposition half. And he's so good at doing it and then going the other way.
Ihnen comes in for Bubo Fofana for the final 2.5. Bonilla is the ultimate insurance policy for the Portland Pilots. If something goes wrong, find Bonilla. He's not on the pitch right now. Samori Powder's playing right back. Powder's got some speed, and just seeing his recovery pace.
Yeah, you can see. I think that was. I'm trying to look to see. I think it was Andros who got his head up and was looking and thought he might have a pass out to Yaya, and Samori Powder made about a 15-yard sprint in 2 seconds. And
yeah, looks like he took 4 steps in it as well.
Nah, we're gonna shut that lane off.
Rosas trying to add to the first half offensive explosion. We banded about who was going to be that striker. It is going to be Rosas. Across to Kovac. Kovac takes some heavy touches to run onto the ball. The Las Vegas, Nevada man gives it centrally. And to reset things with Tom Dobek-Petrowski. Good pressure by the Pilots. And Enan shows his class. Flick, probably not the right play. Denley. Over to Dunbar. What does Dunbar have on the far side? Few step overs. That does well. Going even more centrally, still has the ball. Over to Fernandez. Fernandez to Powder.
Powder not used to being in the Bonilla position of just taking a touch and having to deal with it. He's used to being able to just take a long touch and get himself going, but had a bit to do to try to get around the defender there and couldn't make it happen.
Yeah, touched it with his hands.
It's going to be a foul, I think, on Hernandez. Sebastian Hernandez just comes through and gets both hands to Yaya.
Gonna have to take this one quickly. 13 seconds left in the half. They'll want the leftovers off the chance as well. Fired in quickly. Angel Hernandez stays on his line, and that will do it for the first 45. The Pilots come out strong. 3-0 leaders currently after 45, and you have to like what you've seen from them after the first goal. They got even hungrier.
Yeah, and it's a statement first half so far because Portland has had just kind of a question mark in the last two games after they go ahead early, and then just we don't really see much out of them. And what we've seen now is they're hungry, they're coming at, they're scoring goals, and they really want to put this game out of reach early on.
Coming up during the halftime break, we'll bring you highlights and stats from Merlot Field, where the University of Portland Pilots currently lead Utah Valley University 3-0 in their first ever official game against each other. We'll catch up with you after the break. Enjoy more Pilot soccer coming soon.
I love the fact that higher education can be transformative. It can change someone's trajectory of their life. So it's my hope that the University of Portland, we are the transformative Catholic university in the West Coast. I was born and raised in the great state of New Jersey. I'm the youngest person in my family. I have some amazing parents who have sacrificed a lot to provide an education for me and my brother. You know, we grew up knowing you're going to get your education, you're going to go to church, and anything is possible as you go forward in your life. My name is Rob Kelly, and I am the president of the University of Portland.
We were simply thrilled when Dr. Kelly accepted the opportunity to come to the University of Portland. We spent hours, weeks, months discerning this important decision, and he was exactly what this university needs moving forward.
Hey guys. Nice to see you.
I think you've already seen that on campus already. Dr. Kelly's everywhere. He's ubiquitous. He's energetic. I think he's a tremendous role model. His experience in higher education at this university and other universities will serve him so very well. There's no one more prepared to lead this university into its next great chapter here on the Bluff.
This is my first day with lots of students on campus in a physical format. The students are back, and this is the beginning of it. It's like Christmas morning.
Clearly a person that was able to build connections and relationships with people. His prior experiences, it was very intentional that Rob was preparing himself to one day hopefully have the opportunity to lead a Catholic university, and grateful that he chose us as much as we chose him.
I've been so blessed to know him for over 24 years, and one of the very first conversations we had, we found out we both loved higher ed, and he talked about, I want to be a college president one day. And it really struck me because my father was a college president, and so I saw a lot of similarities in somebody that I, greatly admire and love more than anything. He is like the cheerleader for our family.
My children, Alex and Addison, first they ground me completely. They give all of this work that I'm doing and everything meaning.
To be such a collaborator, communicator, and somebody that really deeply believes in justice, it seemed like those were the things that he just naturally is.
I have been extremely blessed to have different people in my life. People like Sister Frances, she was my 4th grade school teacher. I remember those little lessons that she taught us, and I bring that with me into the work that I do now.
Welcome to all of you.
My message to students would be that they're loved. We want to walk with them and accompany them as they go off and do amazing things in the world. And we're always going to be there. It's about community, and we're going to help them to get connected as we go forward in life. Welcome home, and go Pilots.
Welcome back to Merlo Field, where the home side, the University of Portland, are acting like they are the number 6 team in the country, taking down the Utah Wolverines 3-0 after 45 minutes, and they're out shooting the Wolverines 6-0 in terms of on-target, total shots 9-2 as well. It's been a comprehensive performance through the first half.
Right, yeah, right now Portland's doing so well closing the lanes out of the back for the Wolverines, and they're really, that just means a fancy way of saying they're defending from the front as they should be. They're creating so many chances just from holding that line of defense, closing those lanes, and really making the midfield of the Wolverines kind of irrelevant. They're not able to pass to, not able to find to, and as a result, you know, you're seeing Bonilla, Babalai, Nava, a lot of different players get involved with the passing, creating these wonderful chances. Right here is the first one from Fofana, where Bonilla just wins the ball, plays it into Babalai. Babalai rolls it into Fofana, and Fofana just trips a little bit, but he gets Carter going and just easy going from there. Nothing that Kenji Bellini can do there. And we'll watch the second goal here. Again, just created from some good defensive efforts, and Samori Powder. Man, what a shot right there. Right through traffic, gets over the top of it, and then finishing it off for the first half, it's Sebastian Nava off a free kick to Yepa, and Yepa just buries it. Carter doing his best getting across the goal, but Yepa heads it back down, and nothing doing for the Wolverines to defend that, and you can just see how much it means to Yepa.
His first goal as University of Portland pilot. Big congratulations to him. As you see on your screen right now, score currently 3-0. Still a lot of soccer to come from Merlo Field nonetheless. Thanks to Ange for running down those highlights. I'm Adam Sussman. We'll catch up with you after this quick break. We'll bring you stats, and then after that, the second 45 here at a beautiful Merlo Field on a chill, crisp night in Portland, Oregon. Talk to you in a second. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Merlo Field, where the Portland Pilots currently lead Utah Valley 3-0. And we talked about the comprehensive performance thus far, but it's really going up a goal, as weird as it sounds, has been an issue for Portland in the past year or so, where they can kind of rest on their laurels. But this time, they got that first shot on target. And unlike on Friday where they didn't get another one the remainder of the half, as we take a look at the stats in a moment, they are out shooting the Wolverines 6-0 when it comes in terms of shots on target.
And you can see, Nick Carlin-Voigt there just a moment ago really getting into his team and saying, we want to make sure that we keep it going. You want to make this a statement win and put the rest of the country on notice that being number 6 is no fluke, and they should probably be rated a little bit higher. But right now, what we're seeing here, 9-2 shots, but the highlight here, shots on goal. Portland is not allowed, even though the Wolverines have been in their defensive end and had some very impressive moments in and around the 18, they've not allowed a shot on goal the entire 45, and as a point of pride that Nick Carlin-Voigt wants to make sure that the Wolverines walk out of here with a goose egg in that stat category.
One thing Nick Carlin-Voigt will also want to make sure is that his players don't get a second yellow card. Only one for the Pilots as of current, but it is to a key player, Kevin Bonilla. Wouldn't be shocked if this game goes to 4-0, 5-0, or even remains 3-0 for 20, 30 more minutes, that Bonilla doesn't finish out the full 90 like he has the previous 2 outings.
Exactly, and we saw it last year a couple of times where some double bookings got the Portland Pilots in trouble, earning a red card and a suspension for a following game. And even in Portland, just as recently as the other night with the Portland Timbers taking on the Seattle Sounders on the road, we're 2-0 down, and the Seattle Sounders player took his jersey off for a goal in the 30th minute. On the second goal, earns a yellow card. In the second half, he gets another booking, and you can say that was a soft foul, a soft booking, but it stands that if he hadn't taken his jersey off in the first half, he would have been on the field. But that's what keyed Portland's comeback, is that double booking against Seattle for the red card, and they got to play a man up and tied the game and earned a point in Seattle, the Timbers did.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to go down to 10 men. And Utah Valley, on the other end of it, are used to playing with 10 men. In nearly a quarter of their games last year, a third of their games even, they had 5 red cards last year, Ange. So you want to see if Utah Valley gets into some of the dark arts. How does Portland respond? Do they keep their cool? Do they just keep passing the ball and have a good time? Or do they kind of not scoop down the level, but fight back fire with some fire?
Well, I mean, I think that what you're going to want to see from, I think, Kyle Beckerman's team is that, I would expect that he's made some changes coming into this game, or into this half. They had trouble defending Bonilla down the right side. I mean, I think Gozo and Alacio did the best they could, but that extra player meant it was going to be doubly hard for Gozo to deal with it. That pinned Alacio back, and as a result, there was really not much for Van Nynenton to do trying to contain both Fernandez and Nava with those adjustments. So I would expect that Coach Beckerman's going to make some adjustments there, get some help for Van Nynenton to deal with those two on the ball, and we'll see what Portland does.
So it won't be the same exact starting 11, as Nick Denley, who came in for Kunze, will stay, and also Samori Powder, who started on the bench, and Muslim Umar was in the starting lineup. Powder will start this half. Played right back for about 5-6 minutes to end the first, and now he's going to go back up to left wing to start the second. Kevin Bonilla is still out there for now, actually playing centrally. He's probably going to be the one to receive the ball off the resumption, as Nick Fernandez takes a second and now does give it back to not Bonilla, but Jose Olmos, who launches it long. Bonilla. Turn towards Clive's Army. An impressive touch initially by Babelaiba, loses it on the 3rd try. Bonilla, good recovery pace, sends a heavy ball back to Angel Hernandez. Now we'll get your thoughts on this, Ange, as a keeper yourself. Angel Hernandez seems to be better with his feet than George Tassarisa was, but he also takes a lot more risks with the ball and then there's bodies around him.
Well, and I just, I think you're as confident as you can be back there, dealing with those balls back, dealing with those ability to play the ball with your feet. But man, the first time it bites you, that's when you really got to look over your coach and apologize that's your team. Right now, it hasn't caught up with him yet or lately, but that's good to have. It's good to have a player that's that confident in the back, and it's good that his teammates in front of him have that much confidence to just know that he'll sweep up even the bad stuff that they send him.
It's truly the position you could have the least amount of error, or when you do have error, it's the most noticeable on the field.
Goalkeepers and referees, no room for forgiveness.
And when they play perfect, they do their job. Bonilla Gives it back to Jose Olmos, who's our player to watch. I wonder what kind of role he would have had last year, and considering he probably wasn't breaking the center back starting duo, but he did hurt his shoulder just 2 games in, and we didn't see him the rest of the year because of it. I think while he did feature in those 2 games, both off the bench, he would have been a big cog of the team if he was healthy all last year, so it's good to see him full fitness now.
I think he would have played his way into the starting lineup. I think he would have been probably a starter for that team last year. And, you know, when you think about, again, partnering with Lens Pierre, he was set to go in on and do that. And you look at him going out, and then Jake Arteaga having to move back into that back line from his normal midfield role, which was not the plan Nick Carlin-Voigt had for him last year. Just a lot of different players that Carlin-Voigt had to shift around as a result of losing a few key players like Olmos, and having him back this year full strength has really got this Portland side off to a good start.
From 2022, the Pilots lose their top 4 appearance makers. George Tassaris, the keeper, star center back Delence Pierre, who's WCC first team, now with Real Salt Lake. Lost Jake Arteaga, the captain of this side last year, who for 4.5 years was as we get to the action right here, Bonilla plays it across inside and somehow over the net from about a yard out. He's trying to stab a toe at it.
Give Bob Light credit, maybe like 3 yards out.
He stabbed a toe at it and it went high.
Just enough zip and spin on that he just couldn't get over it, and ends up popping it up as he's going to ground.
Let's take another look at it.
And it's Nava again doing such a good job into Bonilla. Bonilla plays that ball so well.
Yeah, about
it's
5 yards.
just behind Boblai. And you look at Samori Powder, who was right there, hands on his head, like, man, I'm happy for you that you took that, but I was
That's a brace.
so close for me.
That's a brace for Powder if he gets on the end of it. Babalai, no way of really knowing in that action. You see ball, you strike ball, especially when you wear the number 9 like Jacob Babalai does.
Well, Boblai wants in on the action, you know. He's not gotten one tonight, so he's looking for one for himself.
Babalai last year, 8 goals, 4 assists. Came on really strong to end the year in the most important games of the season through 4 tournament games. Had 2 goals and an assist. Was second in the conference as Carter nearly gets caught out. Was second in the conference for goals with 8. Only man beating him was Cambridge. Which brings me back to losing the top 4 appearance makers from last year. The final and 4th, probably the most important, Brendan Cambridge, who's now with Charlotte in Major League Soccer, had 12 goals, was WCC Player of the Year. You also lose 7 goals that CJ Tibbling provided for this team. 30 of their 51 goals from last year were from players who have graduated or moved on from the program. Doesn't seem a problem.
It's a decent chunk.
Indeed it is. Does not seem a problem so far, having scored 10 in just over 2.5 games. Babalai lurking behind Landon Carter inside the box and now trots away. I will be interested to see this Ange, who the top goal scorer will end up being for the Pilots. Cambridge was kind of the early front runner and just kept running from non-conference into WCC play. Nobody could catch up with him. But this year, you've got a lot of candidates. Fofana only had 2 goals last year. Has already outscored that. He's an early candidate right now, but Babalai, just that number 9. He's going to be a day in, day out starter if he keeps up this form.
Well, with the variability in attack for Portland, you know, it was Babalai who was drawing the early pressure in the last several games as being the guy. He was the leading returning scorer, and so he's been getting double, triple teamed, and now
Fernandez in the box, trying to reach Fofana, who's aiming for his 4th.
And now with, you know, Fofana getting in on the action, with Powder getting in on the action, and being multi-goal scorers, now they're taking the load off of Babalai, so you have to wonder now if that's going to free him up to score a few more goals as people start to...
Powder inches towards the back post. It got there first with Fernandez. Carter just misread that, or is Fernandez aggressive at the right time?
I think it was both. I think Carter actually went in and made a good play at that and made something of it and made it difficult for Fernandez. Powder hits it well, and you see Carter just come off his line right there. Just makes it difficult for Babalai. Babalai cannot come through and deal with that cleanly and get that ball on net, and that's just Landon Carter coming up over the back of him and knocking that ball off of his head.
Fed through to Yaya. Jumps over. Now into the box. Dangerous here. Good chance for Utah Valley. Still can't get that first shot on goal. Yaya with ease, hopping over Jose Olmos. Now back the other way. 3-on-2 for the Pilots. Can't reach inside to Babalai. Had Samori Powder wide out left.
And Fofana there just so good off the dribble. And don't know if he just got tired or if he just got excited seeing Babalai there kind of on his own and just mishits the pass in a little bit, mistiming it.
Utah Valley picked to finish 6th in a strong 9-team Western Athletic Conference. The Pilots picked to finish top of the WCC. Something you'd think they have done last year if you saw their conference record, only 1 loss. And also them having their best season since 1995. But San Diego came out of nowhere. It was a relatively shocking result pick because the year before, they were one of the worst in the conference. They come back the next year, one of the best. Yaya has been one of the most impactful Wolverine players, especially considering he was a sub. Shoulder to shoulder with Denley. Denley wins out, gives it over to Fernandez. Fernandez, heavy touch, keeps it in play, the chalk. And it's going to be last off of Utah Valley.
And that's the grit from Denley. You look at him, and he's a never get beat guy. That ball's down there. Yaya is so hard to beat 1v1 just in a foot race, and Denley does it. Gets there, gets him a good little shoulder, and it's Fernandez then just trying to keep it inbounds and plays it right off the shins of the Wolverines.
Denley giving up 3 inches and a few LBs in that matchup. Comes up strong. Yepa to Bonilla.
It's interesting now, Bonilla has been playing outside back. He's still playing outside back, but more in the first few minutes, he's cutting inside and letting Nava take the wing.
Great flick through to Fernandez, who gets shoved. Can it fall to Babalai? No, it does not. They're going to let advantage play momentarily, but then they're going to call the foul on Fernandez. He did get shoved from behind. Cedric Adams, play that correctly. Nick Carlin Voigt sends out literally everyone on his bench to go warm up. We could see some new names for the Pilots today.
It's about 10 minutes in. It's pretty, we see this on the women's game too. Probably just, it's interesting when they vary at 10, 15 minutes. Whole bench is down there. Utah Valley just off screen right now. Their entire bench. Bird's eye view here watching Nava take this.
Nava hit the crossbar with a great chance earlier. Was saved by Carter. Nava this time, set piece chance. Babalai gets it on the fun. He couldn't let 3 be scored. He makes it 4. Back-to-back games for Jacob Babalai, the Western Conference Player of the Week. Adds another goal to his resume.
And it's Babalai earning the service from Nava this time. It was Yepa in the first half, and it's Babalai that just gets in front of his marker there. It looks like it's Van Nynenten that just can't quite contain Jacob Babalai. And Nava with another pinpoint service off the set piece. That's going to be, I believe, Sebastian Nava's, it's his 2nd assist of the game.
3rd this season.
But it's his 3rd this season, yeah.
He led WCC last year in assists with 10. WCC Soccer preseason team, you see why. 3 assists through 3. Can't complain with that. Also has a goal to his name, scored the opener of the season against Sacramento State.
As we talked about earlier, Kevin Bonilla coming off the field, giving the armband to Nick Denley. So that's how you know Kevin Bonilla is not going to be coming back on the field tonight. He's giving the captain's armband off to Nick Denley. He'll take a seat and make sure that you know, doesn't have any kind of yellow card that earns him a suspension for the trip to West Virginia.
If he's not careful, Sebastian Nava is going to take his assist leading chart. And just like the first half, Samori Powder will shift diagonally to right back, and Diego Rosas comes in at winger. Here is Rosas.
Kevin Bonilla has a great night tonight. He got one official assist, but involved in all of the other goals in one way or another, moving the ball, getting the ball up the field, and just a key piece of Portland's defense moving into attack.
Bonilla became the first pilot in 21 years to record multiple assists in the season opener against a Division I opponent. You'll have to go deep in the record book to find this, but I'm interested to see the last pilot to have 5 assists through 3 games, especially the first 3 of the season. Plenty of creators in the West Coast Conference as well. Was one of 3 WCC players to record multiple assists last weekend.
It's the goal scorers, it's the attacking players that always win the Conference Player of the Year award typically, but Kevin Bonilla coming out of the back line, he is as much a part of the pilot attack as he is a key piece of their defending. And you know, I think, you know, he's an early shout for somebody that would be in the pool of players for WC Conference Player of the Year.
Powder gets taken by Kovac, zipped across the 6, and Fofana recovers.
Fofana had Fernandez. He had some options coming out of the back there, and it's so easy when you're on kind of ahead of steam. You win, you get some 10, 15 yards in front of you, get going, but you got to remember that you still are about 80 yards from where you want to put the ball in the back of the net, and you got to give up the ball and let your teammates get forward and get yourself up the field as well.
That run perhaps more appropriate in the other final third than your own. Alejandro Silva was one of 3 on Utah Valley to make the Western Athletic Conference all preseason team. Him, Alacio, and Mark Andros are the trio. Silva, nice outside the boot pass. Kovac has to walk onto it, it was so good. This better from the Wolverines, Ange. Inside, Yaya, looks like he had to push off, gets onto the ball, and they are gonna call that.
He does. You just see that separation. You got to look to get separation any other way than getting your hands up in the shoulder of the center back who's marking you.
We saw it from here. "13 minutes concluded. And here is Angel Hernandez. Ooh. Those are the risks that we've been talking about, Ange.
But it was also the risk that his own team put him in, just with the very, very interesting ball back, and he's got to deal with it one way or another.
This time, Yaya thought he got pushed. Silva across to Dobek Petrowski. Fofana just stands his ground, lets the ball find him. Powder curls it over to Babalai. Rosas was running strong on the left wing. Would have been hard for Babalai to see him, though. Now here's a quick 3-on-3. Fofana waits for supplemental support. Fofana. Babalai. Yipa to Olmos. Nick Denley now. Olmos getting in on the fun. Here's Olmos. Babalai leaves it off to Powder. Powder has to be extra patient. There was a body on the ground. Still picks up the ball, still pilots. Fernandez linking up play as always. Nava to Fofana. Over the top to Nava, off the chest. And good defending by the Wolverines.
Nava looking for something there, but I don't think he'll get it. That's good stuff there from Tom Dobek-Petrowski to just contain Nava. Let him run himself out of bounds, but what a ball from Nick Fernandez right here. Just right onto Sebastian Nava's chest, and Petrowski actually do see the shot there for a corner potentially. Petrowski looks like he just got a toe to it to knock it between Nava over the end line.
Babalai exits for Ennen. Efatobo Aurora comes in for Oliver Yippa. Two guys on the opposite sides of their college journey. Ennen, 4 seasons at Northeastern where he played 62 games, starting 55 of them. 8 goals, 9 assists, almost 5,000 minutes. He's been a sub in both games, but will likely get his best chunk of time with 30 minutes left to go. On the other side of things, Efatobo Aurora, a different story, from Atlanta, Georgia, but played a good chunk of his career in Arizona with Phoenix Rising FC. He's been an effective late sub in both games. Has been listed as a central defensive midfielder, and that's the role we've seen him most in. Also spent time with the Barca Academy in Arizona. Same academy that Nick Fernandez spent some time in. Producing good midfielders at the NCAA level, to say the least. Bellini. Kenji Bellini again. Plays it back to Carter. Denley. He took the captain's armband from Bonilla when he checked out. He's got to get way back to protect Yaya from getting the ball. 5 subs gearing up for Utah Valley. Six.
Usually we pick our players to watch about midday. It was guaranteed Jose Olmos. I was pretty sure no chance that he wasn't going to play. Owen Connect, I was like, he's done some good stuff. He's been playing about an hour each game for the Wolverines. Let's pick him out, and it's great. We don't get the starting lineups until about 20 minutes before kickoff, and it's great when the opposing coach makes me. It's not. Yeah, I look dumb often, but you know, this is another good example of just not reading the situation.
Not able to take it down inside the box. Nava gives it off to Powder. Speaking of Owen Connect, I mean, he was the right choice, Ange. WAC Freshman of the Year.
He's one of their 2 leading scorers right now.
A goal and assist in the opener from Highland, Utah, 5'8". Had a yellow card against Western Michigan. While so many have spent time with the RSL Academy, he actually spent 2021 with FC Cincinnati. Went to American Fork High School in Fork, Utah. Fernandez.
Look at the clock stop there, and it's going to be Yuta Miuta earning the booking for the foul on Fernandez.
So of these 6 subs, many of them starters from the beginning. Trevor Walk.
You see right there, Miuta, no need for him to do that. Fernandez had pretty clear control of the ball. There wasn't really much for Miuta to challenge there. Just gets his hand into Fernandez's lower back and gives him a good shove to the ground.
The 6 subs are going to have to wait a little bit longer. 2 getting ready to come in for the Pilots. One of them definitely Dunbar. We'll have to get you the other. Looks like Jesus Salazar. And in. Cedric Adams does not give it. Looked like he might have been bringing a whistle to his mouth. Just making sure. Fernandez hesitates on the cross. Pulls it back again and goes back towards the end line. Beautiful, and this time it will be a penalty. All earned by Nick Fernandez.
You can see what Ennin does for this team when he comes in off the bench. He's so good with his back to goal, turning, going in, and didn't get the penalty shout there on the tackle. But it's Fernandez now with just a cheeky little flip there on Alacio, and Alacio nothing to do, trying to come around him to chop him down.
You give it to Nava.
It's who I would give it to.
Aiming for his second goal of the season. Trying to add to his 2 assists. Nava versus Carter. Hands on his hips, takes a deep breath. Here goes Nava. Short run up, goes to the left, and adds a goal to his 2 assist day. Sebastian Nava. He's been excellent.
Not a lot to say about this one. Again, Fernandez does the work to earn it with an assist from Ennin there. Fernandez just, Alacio, nothing for him to do there. You just see him chop down Fernandez, and then Nava, cool as you like.
It's a great PK. So Fernandez will likely take a seat for the remainder of the night. His last action, a pretty one. And Nicholas Dunbar will come in into the front line, replacing Bouba Fofana, who added another goal to his impressive season tally. So we have a certainly new look front line than what we began with. It's going to be Rosas, Dunbar, and Ennin. All 3 of the front line, Ange, they're going to be hungry. None of them have a goal in Pilot colors yet.
There is Owen Connect. Getting it going for the Wolverines.
It would be fitting for him to be the standout and really be what this Wolverine attack has been missing.
I'm rooting for you, Owen.
Still no shots on target, Ange.
I'm also rooting for that.
Powder over to Hernandez. Finds Denley well. Pressure a little bit higher from the Wolverines than it was in the first half. Down 5-0. With just less than half an hour to go. 2 more subs ready to come in for the Pilots. Make it 3. Boyd Curry, one of them. Michael Hatcher, the other. And it will be interesting to see where Hatcher goes. Last game was pretty much a striker the whole time, using his 6'3" frame. He is a defender. That's his primary role in soccer, as a defender, but Nick Carlin-Voigt has found interesting and unique ways to use him. Trevor Walk calling for it. Gets it right there. Being troubled by Salazar. Pilots have fresh legs. They're going to keep this press up. Falls all the way to Jose Olmos, who just pokes it out of play. Nick Kazarian, who just subbed in as well, coming up the line. He started against Western Michigan. Usually doesn't play too many minutes. His high this season is 37 versus KC. His 20th appearance for Utah Valley in 2 seasons. Over the top trying to find Kazarian. Nick Kazarian spent 2021 at San Francisco in the WCC. He actually started at Merlot on November 13th, 2021. A game that was University of Portland win 1-0. The obvious starter's still out there. We have Angel Hernandez, the man on the ball right now, Jose Olmos, and Sebastian Hernandez. Also Sebastian Nava still on the pitch as well, but we win a bet with Boyd Curry coming in, that could change.
Boyd Curry. Number 32, Michael Hatcher. And number 26, Isaac Homer on.
Well, and what Kyle Beckerman has done here for Utah Valley is he's essentially inverted his midfield. He started out in a 4-1-3-2, and he has just now switched it now 4-3-1-2, just looking to, again, shore up those gaps in between the back line and the midfield, give some more help defending what was Nava and Fernandez and dealing with what they were bringing. But now there's a new look for Portland with some of these players that are coming in, and a lot of different changes now for both teams to have to keep track of for each other.
So Hatcher will be at right back. The two center backs are both new, Isaac Homer and Michael Hatcher. Denley will still be out there. It will be Boyd Curry going in at center back, along with Isaac Homer. Denley will stay at fullback.
And it's Kazarian earning the booking there for the foul on Salazar.
Does get a yellow. What'd you make of our player to watch, Jose Olmos' performance today?
Tidy, industrious. He was as good as what he needed to be tonight and kept the shutout for Portland. And I think, again, making some tackles at key moments, keeping the Wolverines from even getting a shot on goal, and then good going forward, wins the ball, finds a good outlet coming forward, and helps restart that offense.
There is still a lot of attack. There's 4 players that are listed as forwards on the pitch right now, so it'll be interesting to see who the most reserved of them is, because Umar came on with that group substitution as well. So it looks like Diego Rosas might step back into a little bit more of a 10 role than necessarily a forward.
Well, Portland might have actually even dropped into just a bit more, looked like in defending they might just change their shape a bit with how they do things. You can see, I believe that's Ennen right now pressuring, and he's got Umar and Rosas dropping in behind him. Nope, not Rosas, excuse me.
Boyd Curry gets the foul there, the former St. Mary's man. St. Mary's with Boyd Curry as a prominent feature at center back and fullback. Went 7, 6, and 5 last year. Played 53 games in 4 seasons there. Started at Merlot last September on the 30th, which was a UP 2-1 win.
Ben Ortiz and Nick Denley listening to Cedric Adams. Not sure what the conversation was about.
How you been?
Hey, what's new?
Ben Ortiz launches it inside. Shot on goal. Angel Hernandez gets his first save of the game.
And Ben Ortiz just sees Hernandez playing into that far post just a bit too much, thinks that he can catch him early enough there. But registers the Wolverines' first shot on goal there.
Last year, Portland finished 10th in the nation, ultimately losing the Elite Eight to Pittsburgh. Right now, with a younger, not rebuilding to say the least, retooled new look side, they're currently 6th in the country in a 5-0 performance against Utah Valley. Will continue their stretch into the top 5. Good play by Isaac Homer to stop it from getting closer to Angel Hernandez. Aurora initially got beat, but uses his recovery pace to stop it. Angel Hernandez needed to rush over to his near post after the cross was deflected by Hatcher, who was playing right back but came all the way over to the left to stop it. Hatcher had a goal off the bench in the 86th minute of the opener versus Sacramento State. Had a goal last year in a 5-0 win over Cal Poly. Now at just around 500 minutes in 22 games played for the Pilots. Here's Rosas. Over to Umar. Muslim Umar. Takes it to the outside, and that ball cleared almost out of the Clive Charles Soccer Complex completely.
Number 13, Derek Jones Jr. on. Replacing number 3, Nick Denley.
Derek Jones Jr. getting his first minutes since 2021, Ange. He's been on campus since then, but unfortunately kept out through injury. A talented young player listed as a redshirt freshman.
And he'll slide over into the center back spot. Looks like Isaac Homer's just going to come out onto the left side, and just a couple switches. Hatcher's going to switch over to this side. Jones Jr. making his way all the way over to a right back. So Ben Ortiz comes right at him.
Early action for Derek Jones Jr. Ennen comes to help out, and then Jones Jr.
Ennen tracked that run all the way from Ortiz, not letting him go, just making sure he knows that Jones Jr. is new into the game and making sure he's not letting a player run unpressured straight at him.
Wolverines off the corner. To be Ennen again. As the Pilots are trying to break out. Clock stops. It was Muslim Umar who got caught up in the mess. Utah Valley, in terms of a Division I soccer program, still a pretty new side, Ange. First year of D1 men's soccer was 2014. I didn't realize how big of a school Utah Valley was. 41,000 kids.
The program was moved to Division I and started by former Portland Pilot goalkeeper Greg Moss. Moss, the coach before Kyle Beckerman took over.
They've an all-time NCAA record since being D1 of 85, 62, and 13. Just in their second season, they made the NCAA postseason. In 2015, they lost to SMU in round 1. This year, while not off to a great start, you can always win your conference and get in that way. They do have 12 newcomers this season. In the era of the transfer portal, you're going to have more newcomers year in, year out. We'll see how Kyle Beckerman's able to handle it. Last year, they had 7 wins, 8 losses, and a draw, going 5-4 in conference. A big thing they struggled with, Ange, as you're seeing it here today, they were not road warriors. 5-0 at home, 2-8-1 away from Utah.
But, you know, Kyle Beckerman knows exactly what Nick Carlin-Voigt knows, and a lot of coaches, men's coaches especially, knows is that if your team's going to get better, if you're going to show your team where they need to go in the path to being one of the top teams in the country, you have to go on the road. You have to go play in places like Merlo Field and places like Corvallis, Oregon, at Lorenz Field, and play against the top programs at their home field to learn, you know, I mean, Utah Valley's going to open up their own brand new stadium here after the end of the season. They're going to begin construction and hopefully be done for their 2024 season. And, you know, that's a place that, as you've said, you know, Merlo Field is a fortress for this program. They want the same for theirs, and they're learning how to do that right now.
And then try to reach in the top of the box to Salazar. And Utah Valley get rid last off of Ennen. Cedric Adams corrects the linesman. And for the Pilots, you're right. Talk about a home fortress. This would be 13 home wins in a row. The last time they lost, it's probably a significantly worse broadcaster. You've had a lot of experience since then. They lost September 24th, 2021, a 2-0 loss to then number 3 University of Washington. Those 711 days ago. Remember that game? Luke Hendel, a talented international, had a red card in that game. It was 0-0 for the longest time. And then off a tricky set piece as it falls to Muslim Umar, winds up the left. And a last-second sliding block by Ben Ortiz, one of the best plays of the game for the Wolverines.
Substitution with violence. In goal, number 36, Cash Oladapo. Replacing number 00, Miguel Angel Hernandez.
Cash Oladapo will take out Miguel Angel Hernandez. Oladapo, we talked about this last broadcast, and one of many on this team to have previous WCC experience. Was with St. Mary's. Was a starter last year at Merlot. September 30th, a 2-1 loss. Talked about that game as well with Boyd Curry. Last year played 13 games for St. Mary's. 5, 4, and 4 when he started. 38 saves, 15 goals against, good for a 72 save percentage. Added 4 clean sheets to his career collegiate of 7. A really solid keeper for St. Mary's, and if Angel Hernandez, don't wish this upon anyone, if he does go down at some point, you have trusty hands behind him. With Nava out, looks to be Jesus Salazar who will take it. Salazar, while not St. Mary's, was at Mount St. Mary's before the senior came over. Him and Julian Kunze played each other while he was at Mount St. Mary's, and Kunze was at UMBC in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Part of the DC United Academy setup growing up. Here's Salazar. Derek Jones Jr. tried to just angle it back net bounds, but his momentum took the ball out of play. We got 13.5 to go. Oladapo, while played at St. Mary's, is a local Oregon kid from Happy Valley. Played 5 seasons within the Timbers Academy as well. Well, Happy Valley, if you know just the sheer size of Oregon in terms of land mass, Happy Valley not close to Portland, but has spent a lot of his soccer career in this great area. Boyd Curry goes down in the box. First road trip of the season coming up for UPN, and man, is it a long one. You can't get much further. It'll be a fun game against West Virginia. That game at 10 a.m. West Coast. Be sure to set your alarm. 1 p.m. local in Morgantown. Game that is an ambitious schedule by Nick Carlin Voigt and company. I remember last year, they went to Bloomington, Indiana. That was a really fun game as well. Should be interesting to see how they face up with West Virginia.
And it's a good one-off trip. No other matches for them that weekend, so it'll be a long trip out there, good prep, and again, a tough West Virginia squad to play on the road. So again, you want to be among the best. You got to go to the places that it's tough to play and see if you can get a result.
One of the tougher games this season for sure. Another tough one's at Washington on September 24th. They also face Oregon State at home on the 14th. That'll break up conference play. They'll play 2 conference games against Pacific and Santa Clara beforehand. You'll also face Cal. Last season, the Pilots 11-0-1 at home. So we talk about their unbeaten streak so much. The win streak as well, Ange. With this win, it'll be 13 in a row at home. They drew the first game last year against Central Arkansas, a game in which they were losing 2-0 late on. Nick Fernandez and Nick Denley came and saved the day late. But since then, not only have they not lost a game, they haven't even drawn. Only wins for UP here at Merlot Field. Across, could this be 6? Muslim Umar gets denied by Ennen. Ennen, will he make good? He does. Takes away Umar's goal, but says, hey, I'll take it myself. Sorry, but that's 6. Ennen gets his first goal in Pilot colors.
And Ennen, I don't know, he just is not, he's just keeping the play going. He's not trying to do anything other than keep the ball going, keep it in and around the goal, and as the ball comes to his feet, he's just going to put it right in at the net. Umar, it's okay with him.
Let's take a look at the full action.
But it's Rosas here who does so well to just get around and fight through things, and it's Umar right into the back and then falls right to Ennen, who plays it right through 3 players, and Carter, frustrations from Carter there as it goes right through the legs of a couple of his teammates before it gets past him. And great celebrations there for Ennen. He's going to be a key piece for this Pilot team off the bench as they make their push into the top 5 and make another push for the College Cup this year.
You can hear via the PA here at Merlo Field. Muslim Umar, while not granted the goal, does get the assist, his first point of the season for the Pilots. Muslim Umar played all 21 games last year, a starter in 2 of them, had 4 goals, including a very important one in the tournament round of 32 against Oregon State. He also started the Elite 8 match against Pitt. WCC all-freshman team. Umar carries on the Canadian winger legacy at UP after Cambridge. Here's Umar on the ball, chipping it over the top, showing great pace. And then goes through the back of Nick Kazarian.
Just comes through and fouls Kazarian kind of needlessly there. Gives Utah Valley another chance coming forward, and Utah Valley would love nothing more than to get a goal or 2 going away from this field.
Can the Wolverines get 1? They do not. Sliding challenge by Hatcher. Under 10 to go.
So spy below us 1 Greg Moss, former Utah Valley head coach, former University of Portland Pilot goalkeeper from 1984 to 87, replaced by none other than Casey Keller. Good strong lineage of Portland goalkeeping.
Dunbar, they're one of the few attackers not to get his point yet. He'll get it in due time. Diego Sanchez. Signorelli fed it across. Fighting inside the box, and Boyd Curry hits every PSI out of that ball and goes past the halfway line.
Domback Petrowski will get it back in quickly over to Carter.
Last year, University of Portland finished with 10 clean sheets, 2 in the tournament. That was the most by a Pilots team since 1990. Defensively, they have 8.5 minutes to go and are looking good. And another trend they've continued, scoring 3 in the first game, 4 in the second, and now 6 in the third tonight against Utah Valley.
And again, that's Ennen there, or sorry, excuse me, that's Umar there. Just gives a nasty shove to Kazarian, and these are these situations where Portland gets bookings where they just don't, they go into the book for things that they just don't need to get yellow cards for. It's some of the stuff that's late in the game that Nick Carlin-Voigt will want more discipline, because that's the kind of thing that late in the season those yellow cards stack up and could see suspensions as a result.
Jacob McDaniel, a local product from Hillsboro, Oregon, and Liberty High School, getting ready to come in. Redshirt sophomore. See who he takes out.
Probably coming on, I think, for Ennen. Nope. Yep.
And then taking his time.
And Hatcher will go to center forward.
As I was mentioning before the substitution, last season the Pilots scored in all but 2 of their matches for the first time in 22 years. This season, certainly continuing trend. They scored at least 2 goals in 16 of their 21 matches. That's the most time they've hit the benchmark in either year. Excuse me, in any year. So not just scoring 1 each game, they're scoring multiple, adding up to the 51 total. Next up for Utah Valley, they face UC Santa Barbara, a team we just saw on Friday on September 9th on the road. They start conference play on September 28th at Seattle University. For Utah Valley, we know what the UC Santa Barbara side is made out of. How do you think Utah Valley stacks up to them? I want you to answer that right after this Ben Ortiz set piece. He's eyeing down white jerseys inside the 18. Headed net bounds. Oladapo jumps but doesn't have to make a play.
I think those two teams will match up pretty well against each other. The Utah Valley team is interestingly set up in the midfield, whereas the Gauchos have a lot going forward. You know, they had a lot of fight coming forward back at Portland to come back and get that equalizer before ultimately losing that game 4-2. But you know, they've got some really good, dangerous players, Ledoux and Goling for UC Santa Barbara, that Utah Valley will have to deal with. And just a different look, though, from what Portland has had so much going through the middle of the field that Van Nynenton has just had struggled to deal with on his own. And you can see now Ortiz has dropped back into a more defensive role. When you look at some other players that are coming back in to help, Sanchez and Walk, it'll be interesting to see how Beckerman decides to go against and where those two teams are at once they do face up in the season.
For the Pilots, as we mentioned, they head west. Their next home game will be on Friday, September 15th versus Denver at 7 o'clock. Catch Ange and I on ESPN Plus, or even better, be here at Merlo Field. Here's Rosas working on Gozo, who's active early on. Haven't called his name as much recently. Umar can't get around his man. Goes out for a Pilots throw.
And that's a great heads-up play from Portland. Borden held Rosas on as Borden was Hatcher was, I think, making his way back from an offside position, and Borden wasn't really looking down his line to see Rosas making that run, but was the one that held him on.
It's the 123rd official game in charge for Nick Carlin-Voigt in his 8th season with the Pilots. This will be his 73rd win. Giving him a win percentage of now 60% with the Pilots. He led Portland to their 18th NCAA tournament appearance last year, which we've talked about. Beating UC Riverside, Oregon State, and Western Michigan at home. His 4th NCAA tournament appearance under him. He's been a great recruiter as well. What were your thoughts on Nick when he first got hired?
I truthfully was focusing on my own job as the assistant women's soccer coach. Had my own things I was working on, so I wasn't really paying too much attention. Just coming out and supporting as best I could, and you know, you're in the athletic department together. You see each other around the hallways, and he's always, you know, good, nice. Always stop to have a chat.
From a bird's eye tactical view, calling UP for the first time, I did the whole 2021 season. The way he played back then is much different than he plays now. And that's a sign that a lot of coaches don't do. You know, I've been around coaches that, you know, they'll keep their same identity. What they do is what they do, and the players kind of have to mold to that system. It's the other way for Nick, where the players he's brought in have kind of determined the system. When I first was calling the games in 2021, it was a pretty strict 4-4-2. We didn't see quite as much of the unleashed Brendan Cambridge. And then the following season last year, they went to that 4-3-3, let the wingers have some more freedom in attack. And it was a better attacking team, to say the least. Not that the 21 team was poor by any means, but last year he got even more firepower out of his squad. Here is Rosas on the far side wing, plays it inside, outside of the boot clearance by Jacob Borden.
Well, I think it's also, you know, the players are going to help you build your formation, but it's also he's so good at seeing, you know, and understanding where his players want to go, which players are the ones like Cambridge or Delancey-Pierre that have that desire to go play professionally, go play at that next level, and putting them in a situation to excel in those situations the most. And so Portland, you know, last year in a 4-3-3, but sometimes even in a 4-5-1 where they would play, you know, two holding mids, 3 attack, where those wingers would then kind of invert and come in behind and, you know, leave Cambridge. And so they just give them some different looks and different ideas and different opportunities, because that's what you have to think the game so much more and quicker in just a lot of different areas when you play at that professional level.
Goal scoring got started with Fofana early. Most recent goal came from Ennin, his first as a Portland Pilot. And 4 not too shabby strikes in between. Probably the goal of the game was Samori Powder's volley from just inside the box. Be sure to stay tuned after the final horn. We'll take a look at all the highlights, break down the stats from this one, and take a look at the Pilots' schedule coming up. Dunbar making himself an option on the throw, and instead went long to Hatcher, who hits it off the back of his neck and out for a Utah Valley throw.
1 minute, less than 1 minute.
Gonna call a Pilot ball. Jacob McDaniel puts it off the head of Ben Ortiz. Mendoza. Good idea, trying to find Gozo on the far side. Under 30 left to play. Trying to find Hatcher up. Extends out his right leg, trying to get a touch. And out of play by Landon Carter. Not on the same page as his defenders there. But the final score for Merlot Fields, Portland Pilots 6, Utah Valley Wolverines 0, as Nick Carlin-Voigt and Kyle Beckerman share pleasantries. A great performance by the Pilots as they prove again why they are a top 10 team in the country.
And it was just the most complete performance that we've seen for Portland all the way around so far this season. Third game in, they're getting better every game, especially with some of those early, as we talked about with the past 2 games where they score early and then we see them fade into nothing until the second half. This time they score a goal and they keep it going. 6 goals all told. They keep Utah Valley to 1 shot on goal off of 4 shots. And, you know, I think even as importantly, they were able to get a lot of players in off the bench, get them some critical minutes in a good matchup for them as they continue forward through their season.
It's worth taking a look at the 6 in case you didn't remember who the goal scorers were. Here's how it happened at Merlot Field tonight.
Babalai right into Fofana. Fofana gets Carter to the ground and then just is able to make something of it even as he's going to the ground. Off his shin, off his ankle, who knows? But then right here, it's Powder who's going to keep it going over the top of that. What a shot. Nothing doing through traffic. Terrific, terrific goal. And then Nava says, sure, I'll put it right on your head. Yepa, and Yepa gets, that's the 3rd goal. That's Portland going into the halftime 3-0. And then Nava says, okay, Babalai, it's your turn. Again, what a finish from Babalai off a terrific ball from Sebastian Nava. And then Nava gets the penalty. Nick Fernandez fouled, and then Sebastian Nava says, I got this. And then Rosas here, look at him fighting through this one. Plays the ball through traffic, and it's Umar off of Ennin. And then Ennin says, okay, all right, I'm in too. And it opens his account for the Pilots. Just a great finish there.
Umar does get the assist on that final goal as well. Let's take a look at the schedule coming up for the Portland Pilots at West Virginia. An early one next weekend. Be sure to check that out. Though me and Ange will be back here at Merlo Field on the 15th and 21st against two big teams, Denver and California State University Northridge, and then probably the biggest game of the season to this point at Washington on the 24th.
Yeah, big matchups for sure. Portland just really stacking their schedule, giving themselves some good opportunities to go get good wins on the road and come back and see if they can get that WCC title going.
Nick Carlin-Voigt injecting confidence into his men with a result like this. You have to love it if you're a University of Portland fan. Final score for Merlo Field, 6-0. And just get your final thoughts before we say goodbye.
I think it's a great way to start the academic week for these students. 6 goals. Now they're headed to West Virginia and got classes after this.
Safe travels to University of Portland, Nick Carlin-Voigt, and also to Utah Valley as they head back to Utah. I've been Adam Sussin. Big thanks to Angela Harrison and our whole crew here at Merlo Field. It's been a fun weekend of action. 2 wins for Portland on the bounce. We'll see if they can make it 3 in a row next weekend in Morgantown. Have a safe night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.